since we have a little bit more time, we have a little bit of a mini bye. The Eagles are 8-0. We're feeling really good right now. We go into a little bit of extra rest, and there's a little bit more time to talk about some other things of this roster and everything like that. I'm going to go through some of this roster right now so far with some of these players, with re-signs, guys that we should cut, things like that. But definitely want to talk about the few that I've been very happy with and should be signed. And, what are the decisions the Eagles are going to make, which I think is really important. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So the Philadelphia Eagles, and I got to talk about a few players. I got to talk about, obviously, we're going to be just going flip-flopping around with a few players and just talk about some things. Like I said, we have some extra time until we play the Washington Commanders on Monday night in Philadelphia. Big division game. Eagles are 8-0 right now. And, so far you kind of want to have a little bit of a progress report on some of these players and, what's to come of next year. And I know we're trying to deal with this year right now, but, down the road, we're going to be thinking about these contracts. A lot of free agents, a lot of guys coming off the last years of their deals, and I think is really important to go over. And number one on my list right now, I think it's going to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. As much as, we can talk about Jalen Hurts getting a contract, excluding Jalen Hurts and all of that. Okay, so we're not going to talk about the quarterback position because obviously Jalen Hurts is very deserving of that contract right now, which is, obvious, so I'm not going to waste time talking about that. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has been fantastic for the season in 2022. When we were acquiring him from the Saints, he was more of a nickel corner, played more nickel than safety. He wanted the Saints to switch him to safety. They never did it. They gave him a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles put him at safety. And, it took him a little bit of time. Much as people are complaining about Robert Quinn, even though Robert Quinn only played like 12% of the snaps, which he's got to get a little bit more on the edge. They have to get acclimated to the defense and acclimated to a new place, and that's the way it is right now. It took a little bit of time for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to kind of be seen or kind of flash a little bit, and my God, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson having a really good year this year, leading the whole league in interceptions with 5 interceptions, 6 passes defensed, 42 tackles, and a sack. Okay. Chauncey, I think, needs to get re-signed because at this point, Marcus Epps, as much as Marcus Epps even last year in 21 was trying to show himself as being a solid safety that he could prove himself, it was nice. If you have Marcus Epps as your backup number 3 role-playing safety, I'm totally fine with that. Is he a superstar? No. But his coverage is definitely suspect, as well as Kevon Wallace. That is all talk, no play. The difference between Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Kevon Wallace is when, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson talks shit, he backs it up. And when Kevon Wallace talks crap, he can't back it up at all. So it's a huge problem with Kevon Wallace. I was very excited for that pick when we drafted him a couple years ago. But at this point, guys, the Eagles need to make change. That's why I'm kind of afraid of the Eagles getting injuries at safety, because whether Marcus Epps is gone or Chauncey Gardner's gone, Kevon Wallace gets snaps. But if they do 3 safety sets, if they want to move Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, kind of use him as that Malcolm Jenkins piece to move him all over the field, which they definitely did against the Texans on Thursday night, Kevon Wallace got a lot more reps, and he was getting beat almost every time. The guy can't tackle, as well as our whole defense played bad when it came to tackling against the Texans in general, which they could clean up, but got to stop doing that. Kevon Wallace was the coverage is bad. His eyes are bad. Just not good enough for me. As well as you have Reed Blankenship on the roster, which he is on the active 53, but they haven't gave him a shot yet. And other than that, there's really nobody else in that safety spot that I'm really worried at right now. I mean, to say that anybody is even high caliber enough to even start or play or be a backup. So there's really nothing proven behind a couple of these players, at least behind the third safety spot right now. So this is one spot I wish we did upgrade, but at this point, Marcus Epps is a free agent. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a free agent as well. So I think you really have to sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Is definitely going to be one of your top. You can't afford to let 2 safeties go. You just can't. And they signed Marcus Epps over Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because of money. then it's going to be a really bad decision. But I don't think Howie's that stupid. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has swag. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just is a ball hawk. The picks that he has gotten, I mean, and these aren't easy picks. Some of them have been pretty hard where he's diving for him. Like, he is really good. And we haven't had that in the room since Malcolm Jenkins, really. And I mean, just imagine if you're able to get a number 3 safety that's very productive in the room. It doesn't have to be a first-round pick next year. You could draft one. I mean, whatever you want to do, you get a number 3 safety in the room that could fill in as a starter, and the Eagles want to use Chauncey around the field. Great. I mean, I think that's a perfect idea. So we'll see down the road what happens. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has been it's been such a breath of fresh air for this Eagles defense on the back end, which is great. So very happy about that. Second, I want to go over Javon Hargrave. And look, before the season started, I said to myself, they have to extend Hargrave after this year. Fletcher Cox was released. He was brought back. They redid his deal. So we had 2 of our defensive tackles here. Hargrave's on the last year of his deal. Okay. Even in the Texans game, he had 3 pressures, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 5 sacks for the season. Has played fantastic. I think the edge is helping out a little bit. I think there was a couple plays where Robert Quinn, I think, helped him on that one of his sacks, because then they're going to stop double teaming him, because Robert Quinn is another weapon on the field, as well as Josh Sweat has been playing a little bit better. Brandon Graham is playing a lot better on the edge. So there is a lot of help for Javon Hargrave right now, and I think you're not going to lose Fletch and Hargrave. Jordan Davis is your next defensive tackle, taking Fletcher Cox's spot. Fletcher Cox is not the old Fletcher Cox anymore. I could definitely tell that he has this, reduced in production. That's definite. Hargrave is just a bully. He is the grave digger. This is what he does on the field, and he's been having a fantastic year. And obviously what's behind it right now is, between Jordan Davis, that's hurt right now, Milton Williams as a 3rd-round pick has, I think, a sack this year, and that's really it. Nothing much. I haven't seen him give too much pressures this year. You have Marlon T. That's a nice run stuffer, but I think they need more at defensive tackle. So, I mean, look, if Cox walks out the door, I think you still have to sign Javon Hargrave to a 2 to 3 year extension, something like that. They have to put something together, but I still think they need to add another depth piece at defensive tackle regardless, after this year and stuff like that. So if you resign and extend Hargrave, they could save $12 to $13 million. So depending on what our cap's going to be after this year, should be between $30 to $45 million, but that's excluding the Jalen Hurts contract. God knows what that's going to look like down the road. So I'm kind of afraid just a little bit. But Hargrave, there's times where he has disappeared, but because, when you don't have any elite edge rusher, a strip sack artist in Hassan Reddick, and, going into now the trade deadline, and, you go after and you trade a 4th-round pick for Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn should get more reps, and this pass rush should be a lot better going forward. And it really depends on Gannon for that, which we talk about every single week, which I won't get into that, but we're talking about the players that I really do want to sign immediately. Miles Sanders, for the year as of right now, he's had a pretty good year from what was given to him. 131 attempts, 5th in the league, 656 yards, 6th in the league, tied for 4th for 6 touchdowns, averages 5 yards a carry. That's ranked 19th. Okay. Between 2020 to 2021, Miles Sanders barely gave him reps. When Doug was here in 2020, they barely ran Miles Sanders the whole entire year. Barely. Okay. 2021, when Nick Sirianni took over the play calling for the first 6-7 games, they didn't run the ball at all. They were too much of a pass-happy team, which led to a lot of mistakes with this team. But going into, and obviously he was hurt 3 times and played in a wild card game, coming off almost out 3 weeks, and the whole team looked horrible for that game anyway. But going into this year, man, he's been fantastic. Miles Sanders not only is not dancing, and I've noticed with Miles Sanders, he's not dancing too much like he did last year. He is getting the ball with fire in his eyes, and he is literally just shooting the gap with his speed, and he plays tough. I mean, when I saw that, even the Texans game on Thursday night, I mean, he was running so powerful and so physical. I mean, he literally decleated Derek Stingley off the off the grass. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I think he should have more yards. He should have more yards. There were times where they should have ran the ball a little bit more with him, depending on the game that you're looking at. So he should have like 730 yards, probably a little bit less than that, but he should be in the 720s to the 730s right now. That's how good he has been running this year, and I think he could get 1,000 yards or maybe just a little bit below that. There's a lot of weapons on this team, so the Eagles have their choice, in seeing what they're, who they're going to distribute the ball to. So Miles Sanders is the only running back right now that is coming off of the last year of his deal. This is a contract year, so I don't know what's going to happen here. For me, I'm kind of getting myself prepared that Miles Sanders will not be here after this year. And not to say that Kenneth Gainwell could be a number one, because I don't think Kenneth Gainwell's a number one. Boston Scott, they barely even use him as it is. But they like to rotate these guys, keep these guys fresh. We don't have a bruiser back. We don't have a number 4 right now. So really all you have to worry about is, can the Eagles re-sign Miles Sanders after this year? It's going to be tough to see him walk. He's one of my favorite players. You know what I mean? So I'm not interested in drafting a running back in the top 10 if you're trying to get a Bijan Robinson or whoever else is going to be available at that time. I'm just not interested. I never want to draft a running back in the top 10 ever. But the problem with signing a running back is if Miles Sanders takes less money, I guess it could work. But going into your second contract, these guys want to get paid, and I don't blame players that want to get paid. So if this guy, if Miles Sanders wants to leave and go somewhere else for more money, then that's what he's going to do. And I'm not going to blame him for it. I'm not going to be mad about it. Like, it is what it is. Like, these guys, I think he's proved himself. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that a lot of people don't think that Miles Sanders is elite, but I'm telling you right now, with this offensive line, you don't have to pay running backs mid-tier contracts. It sucks because you want to keep these guys in the building, okay? Do you want to pay a running back $40 million because he's in a rotation? Obviously, Miles Sanders gets a bulk of the reps, but that's the problem I'm having right now. With Cam Jurgens going to be the next center for the Philadelphia Eagles. Land Dickerson's young. Malata's young. Lane Johnson's really the oldest, one of the oldest ones on the right tackle spot. Driscoll's good for your swing guy on both sides. You can play left tackle, center, right guard, right tackle. You have some good depth. They need to add another offensive lineman for Jeff Stoutland, which if Jeff Stoutland's still going to be here after this year because his contract is up as well. So with the offensive line you have for a decade and a half because of the great drafting of Howie Roseman in the trenches, Isaac Seumalo has played pretty damn good this year. I got to say, I've always been never been a fan of Isaac Seumalo because I thought his pass protection has been suspect at times, but I got to say it's actually been a lot better for him this year. So props to him and respect to him. So the whole point of this is this might be an offense where all you have to do is plug in players. You could draft a running back from round 3 to round 6 and probably get, if they pick wisely, they can get a really good, productive running back, behind this offensive line and just be a plug-in type running back rotational offense if that's what they want to do at that position. But this one scares me a little bit. I think if there's one guy I really want back for this offense, just offensively, I think it's Miles Sanders. There's no doubt about it, excluding the quarterback, obviously, because we're not talking about his contract because I think he's well deserving of it. So Miles Sanders, I don't want him to be a big loss after this year, but I just don't see him taking less money. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Especially if he hits over 1,000 yards this year, it's going to be tough to re-sign him back if that's the case. But Howie Roseman could do whatever he wants. He could re-sign and lock some guys up before the year is over with, and usually Howie likes to do that, lock some guys up before the season's over, and, we make some moves later on. So be interesting to see what the running back position is going to look like. Boston Scott is on a 1-year deal as well, so really all you have back there is Trey Sermon and Kenneth Gainwell. That's it. And Gainwell, I mean, in Trey Sermon, I don't know how many years he has left. Probably this is his last year when they tried to acquire him. They tried to trade for him from the 49ers, and they haven't used him at all. So besides 2 plays during that Jaguars game. So that position, I think Miles Sanders is a question mark for me. Not a yes, not a no. Would I like to re-sign him? 100% yes. But do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. That's what scares me just a little bit. To go into my 4th player right now is the tight end position, which is interesting too. Jack Stahl is... Since the Cowboys game, Jack Stahl has actually they've been throwing to him a little bit, which I do like. I was like, man, are they just gonna use Jack Stahl as a blocking tight end, do the dirty work, some stuff kind of he's like the Zach Pascal of tight ends, pretty much. He'll go in, do the dirty work, block for this team, but when he gets his chance, he will run with it. And since the Cowboys game, they've passed to him a few times already, and he's been pretty reliable. As much as I want to see Grant Calcaterra, I think Grant Calcaterra is the speedy tight end. I think Jack Stahl is a nice balance, but he's not the fastest guy, but the break of his route is fantastic. He gets open, and he could block and he could catch, which is great. And you're not going to see him outrun anybody, but man, the guy can outrun out of a break of a route, but other than that, he's not gonna torch your whole defense. He's a bigger body, kind of like Goddard, that could drag, use his physicality to drag some players for extra yards. And I think Jack Stahl's been pretty damn good for an undrafted tight end. He's past couple of years, he has played pretty damn well. I don't know what his contract looks like, but Jack Stahl is another guy I've been really happy with. And I kind of want to see this tight end position going forward. Tyree Jackson is on the 21-day practice window. And this would have been his second year playing tight end. He's 6'7", big guy, but you know what I mean? And more of a project right now. So pretty much next year will be his likely, his second year playing tight end. Which we haven't seen yet. Had dropped some balls last year, and it's just learning the position last year. You know what I mean, for his first year at the new position. So this is not like a re-sign, or I kind of just want to talk about Jack Stahl in general because I think he's never really was a Jack Stahl fan. I was because I feel like as a backup tight end, you have to do more than just block. God forbid Dallas Goedert goes down, Jack Stahl is going to get all the reps, and that's what you kind of prepare for here. Knock on wood, don't want to say that's going to happen, but I've been very happy with Jack Stahl, what he's been doing, and they've been kind of giving the ball his way. Maybe he'll get 1 or 2 receptions, nothing much, you know what I mean? Like the Eagles will trick you, you know what I mean? The Eagles will trick you because, that these teams watch film, and anybody can get the ball at any moment, when you don't realize it. So I think Jack Stahl has been a definitely somebody that could be a nice backup for us. I've actually started to like him more and more as the weeks have gone on. So I think Jack Stahl has been really good. And lastly, the Eagles need to make a change at special teams. It's just to a point now, as much as I was literally on my knees for Britton Covey, because I really did like him coming out of Utah, and he was just a special teams magnet. I mean, he was just a absolute monster. Came to punt return, kick return. He's played running back. He's played wide receiver. He's played slot receiver, outside. I mean, you name it, he's played the position. He's even thrown at quarterback a couple times in Utah, which is crazy. So, unfortunately, I'm not saying he's, there's no bust written on him because he's not a draft pick. He's an undrafted wide receiver pretty much / special teamer. So the Eagles got to go in a different direction here. I feel like Britton Covey is just, I don't know. Is he allergic to open space? Does he like shaking hands with the other team? I mean, he likes running into them a lot. I feel like he runs in the piles way too much. And as much as I don't like Michael Clay and this special teams coordinator, which I think if you're talking about coaches getting fired, which we haven't even been on that yet, the number one coach getting fired, okay, is Michael Clay. Other than Jonathan Gann, Michael Clay needs to get fired because, number one, he's part of the Chip Kelly tree. Number two, I think he just sucks. Even last year, he wouldn't take Rager off punt returns. You know what I mean? He wasn't forced to keep him on. He wasn't, you know what I mean? And I think, maybe he was. I don't know, because last year was last year, and, who knows what was going on. But at the end of the day, we have Greg Ward on this roster. We know how he's not great at punt returns. Covey's not good at punt returns. I don't know why they don't use Boston Scott. When you acquired Boston Scott for his first year in Philadelphia, I mean, this guy was a punt returner. He's done kick returns for the Saints, and he never used him. I don't know how he has the same build as Darren Sproles and you don't use him for the same role. To me, it makes absolutely no sense on why they've kind of been hiding that or haven't even tried it out. I mean, look at Devin Allen, man. Just give him a shot. The Eagles signed him to a 3-year deal. Man, he's going to definitely be playing this year on special teams, which I think he does, but he's got to be a returner or something. The Eagles have already brought up Britton Covey 3 times to the active roster. So when you bring up a player 3 times, he's got to stay on the roster. And after the 3 times you put him back on the practice squad, he can't move up to the active roster the whole entire season. So he will sit at practice squad until the offseason happens, till OTAs and training camp and all that good stuff for the 2023 season. Okay. So I don't know what they're doing here, but this is going to cost us games. And I don't know. There's going to be that one game we play this year, whether it's playoffs, whether it's regular season, where Covey is going to hit the ball by mistake, or we're going to be up by 3 points, and there's like 20 seconds left. They're going to punt the ball to. I mean, whatever the case may be. I feel like, the third part of your game can make you lose games. And I feel like there's going to be a game where this guy is going to make a mistake. And look, I'm rooting for the kid so much, but it's like week after week after week. And I know we could blame it on the blocking every single week, but there has got to be something that he shows me. He hasn't showed me nothing. Number one, he doesn't protect himself. Number one, he gets stood up. I think he's gotten better. But he's still running the piles, but he would not even protect himself. And he's 5'8", 5'7", 170 pounds. I mean, he's not a bigger returner. I mean, with some speed. I mean, he's a really, really small individual player. So it's been, I think I'm done with Britton Covey and like the whole, project with him. Very raw right now. Give him another year. Like, he's undrafted. Like, I'm not expecting too much from him, but it was either going to be hit or miss. The Eagles gave it a shot, bringing in Allen. They haven't tried him out. So, I mean, at this point, I think they need to make a change, like, quick. I don't want Devontae Smith as your backup punt returner on, they're going to use Devontae Smith on punt return if they really need. Like, if we back them up into the end zone and they punt to us and we really need a possession and some yards, he's going to grab that ball and, try to get some yards. But all it's going to take is one hit on Devontae Smith, the size of his skinny legs, and he will be done for the year. Okay, that's what we don't want to run into when this happens. So that's my focus. That's what's been going on. We haven't had a good punt returner, kick returner since Josh Huff and Darren Sproles. Really. And the other guy we had the Super Bowl season, oh my God, I forgot his damn name. Went to the Falcons. I forgot his name. You guys will remind me in the comment section anyway. So, but that's really it, guys. I mean, I talked about a few players, about contracts, who we should sign. We could talk about James Bradberry. There's plenty of James Bradberry is definitely another must too. We didn't talk about him. He's definitely a huge must right now. Jesus, Bradberry has. I didn't think he was going to play that good. I thought he was good, but I didn't think he was going to play that good this year. It's the top two. You have two of the top 3 corners in the league right now, literally, when it comes to, Bradberry is one of the best red zone defenders, not only even in open field, he's fantastic for what he's been matched up on, and the guy fights and he never quits, and that's a great thing. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the contracts, the free agents after this year. Miles Sanders, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Javon Hargrave. What would be your signing? Let's just exclude Hurts. In the comment section below, let me know in order what players you would sign immediately excluding the Hurts signing. Like, what would you try to do? I think that would be a lot of fun. I kind of want to hear your guys' opinion on it. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. If you guys haven't subscribed, if you guys haven't followed my Discord, follow my Discord. Will be in the pinned comment of this video. We talk Eagles every single day on there. Gets me closer to you guys. We have over almost 200 followers on the Discord. We definitely want to build this up a lot more, so definitely check that out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.